Hello everybody and welcome along to another edition of the Rebel Wild Ball. I think it's going to be a bit reduced this week because very little action happening in terms of club championship matches in Cork. If you like, this is a kind of a weekend off for them. Each team has played its two rounds of the championship. Round 3 in the hurling will be next weekend, and then round 3 of the football the weekend after. And the County Board have used this weekend to play the finals of the colleges divisional competition that they've kind of been running. They played the semi-finals this week, and some of it was played earlier in the year. So we're down to the finals now on Sunday night in Páirc Uí Rinn. Both games at Páirc Uí Rinn. In the hurling at 6 o'clock, you're going to have Shandoon playing Imokilly at 6 o'clock. And of course, Shandoon have made a big effort in this competition this year. Justin McCarthy, some of our more mature listeners might be, and viewers might be aware of him. He is an outstanding coach. And I know that there's a number of good people involved there, and they, to qualify for this final is serious progress to them. But they'll obviously be underdogs against the O'Killy, a team that won 3 county championships in a row, up to Blackrock taking their crown, if you like. So I think O'Killy will be, particularly after their point win over UCC during the week. And that game, as I said, has a throw-in at 6 o'clock, and then at 7:45 we have the football version, where Duhallow will take on UCC. UCC having a good victory during the week over Musgrave. When they met last year, I think win the extra time, and Duhallow eventually getting there by a point. It's very hard for the divisions in Cork, and particularly in Duhallow, where they try and play hurling and football. So I don't know how prepared any team can be. Well, first of all, it can't be very well prepared. You've got to take that. I know that maybe they play a few challenge games and all of that. So yeah, that game goes on at 7:45, and it could go either way. But I suppose, look, the Cork players that will be playing with UCC will have this weekend off, so they may be able to give that competition or that team a little bit of priority. And the winners then here will go through to the quarterfinals of the Cork Premier Senior Football and Premier Senior Hurling. And in the quarterfinal, they'll play the team that will be ranked the lowest of the group runners-up. But we'll be getting around to that a little bit later. I know that there's a lot of action going on in the divisions. Maybe we should have checked a little bit more. And the divisional junior championships will be coming to a conclusion. And the only one I'm aware of the top of my head is that on Sunday evening at 3:30 in Ballinhassig, the Southeast Junior Hurling, credit to the Southeast Board, they've run a good competition this year where there was a backdoor where teams got at least 2 matches, unlike the City Division where this did not happen again. But Ballymartle second team versus Valley Rover second team, that game goes on in Ballinhassig. I think it's 3:30 on Sunday evening. A lot of GA talk, of course, this week is all about inter-county managers, and we have the set-up in Kerry where Jack O'Connor was eventually the man chosen to bring Sam back to their county. And I'd say there was a lot of shenanigans going on down there, I knew, but Jack is in charge. We had shenanigans, if you like, involved in the Cork Ladies football, where there was 3 candidates. We spoke to about that last week, and then last Friday evening, the selection committee decided to go with Shane Ronayne, the Mitchelstown born teacher. He teaches, I think, in Diisional in Care in Tipperary, and he's a huge amount of experience in coaching club teams, particularly up maybe that part of North Cork and South Tipperary, very much involved in schools, ladies football, and also with third level colleges and that. In the county experience, he was with the Tipperary team that won the All-Ireland at the Meath 2 occasions, and he led them to great progress in the divisions, as well as being involved in Waterford last year. Beating off John Cleary was also a candidate, and that was a bit of a surprise that, John Cleary, who was synonymous with success at club level in Cork and also involved with the ladies football at underage level and the Cork under-21 team. Anyway, he didn't get there, and Aoife Fitzgerald, the outgoing man, he seems to be annoyed with the way the whole process was operated. But anyway, that one is done and dusted. I'm not too sure what's going to happen in Camogie, because Paddy Murray, as you know, is involved there, and Paddy's been tipped to take over the Cork minor hurling, and I presume that would have to rule him out of the Cork Camogie job, so they could be looking for a new leader. By the way, whether Shane Ronayne stays involved with the More Abbey after this year, I presume his position would become untenable if he was to remain in position. And then the big job is who's going to be involved with, who's going to be the manager, the bonnet door of the Cork senior footballers. Will this particular corner, maybe with lack of knowledge of who else was involved, has nailed his colours to the mast and gone with John Fintan Daly. We don't need to promote what he has done in terms of coaching. He's been at it with almost 40 years and a huge amount of success, albeit at club level. He'd an All-Ireland under-20 title to under-21 title to his name as well. And I suppose, look, he's a bit of an enigma in some people's minds, but look, he's a good coach, and I think his time has come. But anyway, regardless of that, regardless of what I think about it, it is going to be a big appointment for Cork football. Absolutely no doubt in the world about that. And we have names like Bobby O'Dwyer has been mentioned, and Paddy Kissan has been mentioned in a coaching capacity. Keith Ricken, who I was led to believe wasn't involved, I'm now told that he is again. But whoever it's going to be, there's a huge job of work to restore the fortunes of Cork football. Whether the players are out there or not, we're led to believe that they are, but it'll take a serious effort to bring Cork up to what they haven't been performing that well in the recent number of years. And to be honest, if we were taking the league structures, it was Cork are operating priority staying out of Division 3 and a mid-Division 2 team at best. So there's a lot of work to be done there, and regardless of what we may think about whether John Fintan Daly should be in charge, and any person that follows the fortunes of Gaelic football in this county, would wish the new person all the very best in that. Then moving to ladies football, well, there's the big weekend for them in terms of their club championship, and as I explained to you before, in the senior football there's two groups, and in one group you have More Abbey, and they're going to win that group easily, I would imagine. There's Bride Rovers, Fermoy, Inch Rovers and Ahada, and they're talking about who's going to be the runner-up to Ahada. That's basically what they're playing for. And the two games this weekend in it are Ahada or Inch Rovers. I think they're first day out versus Bride Rovers. It's a big game because that could ultimately decide which of those two teams are going to be the runners-up. And the other one then is More Abbey taking on Ahada, and I can't see any result there. The other group is really interesting. It's kind of a west of the city group, if you like, with the four teams, St. Val's, they're kind of in the mid-Cork, and then you have Clonakilty and Kinsale. And the big match, of course, the two big games, they are two big games. St. Val's play Clonakilty this weekend. Both of them lost last weekend, and the two winners, Aero beating St. Val's and Kinsale having had a victory over Clonakilty, they meet as well. So, this group, it's very important that somebody finishes in the top of it. Well, of course it is. But the team that will finish on the top of this group will obviously avoid playing More Abbey in a semi-final. So I think that's the big one there. And then in the intermediate, there are basically 6 teams here, and it looks now in the early stages here that in two groups that you probably have Valley Rovers and Glenmire coming out of one group, and maybe Ross Carberry and Araglen Desmond's Bui coming out of the other group. The two games on this week are Valley Rovers playing Glenmire, and you have Bantry Blues playing Araglen Desmond's Bui. So a lot of these, and by the way, the ladies football, those matches I mentioned will take place on Sunday. In Camogie, we're down to 14 in the senior Camogie championship, and this is the championship where of course the Rovers won it for the first time last year. So tonight there's a game between Killa and Douglas, and my informants tell me that Killa will be the favourites there. Then on Saturday there's a number of big games. Aerogan, Shandoon, very hard to call that one. And like some of those girls will be playing football on Sunday. That's an even game in Brinny, and also in Brinny you'll of course the Rovers versus Clydove. I would imagine of course the Rovers should, and they will be expected to win that one. In Coachford on Saturday, Inniskeen will be favourites against Inniscarra, and Inniskeen they've had a great start coming up from the intermediate grade. Ballygavin and SARS, and we'll have to fancy SARS there in that one. That's one of the games in Castle Road, and the other game in Castle Road is Glyn Rovers and the Bars, a close match, maybe Glyn Rovers getting the slight nod. And then on Sunday in Castle Road, one game in the senior Camogie, and you'd expect there that in that St. Catherine's would get over Carbery, the divisional side. In the intermediate championship, there's 2 games. Tomorrow night with Watergrass would be favourites against the Piercing, and on Sunday, or on Saturday I should say, the expectancy is maybe that Father O'Neill's will be slightly too good for Valley Rovers. That game going on in Castle Road. Moving on to those who follow the fortunes of soccer, and of course it was a big week again in Europe, and well, I won't say the main game because, you know, if you follow Man United, you think there's only one game. Liverpool, big winners again over Porto, 5-0 winners. Manchester City surprisingly beaten by Paris Saint-Germain, where Messi got his first goal, I think, since he joined that club. And I'll go on to say on a voluntary basis. Chelsea, the champions, were surprisingly defeated by Juventus. And the big story, of course, was another late 95th minute goal by Ronaldo, which got Man United up and running. They beat Villarreal, I should say, 2-1. No, it's incredible what's happening with United, because, as you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is their manager, and after last Sunday's defeat to Aston Villa, I think it was, where Bruno Fernandes blazed a penalty over the bar, that was it, he was going to be gone. But as has been a trait of his journey since he joined Manchester United, just when he appears to be heading out the door, they come along and they win a big one. And it will be interesting now how they're going to get on in the Premier League this weekend for saving the job of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But that late goal last night by Ronaldo definitely has, and it's amazing how fickle this whole situation is. But when we see what's happening with inter-county managers, what I spoke about earlier on, maybe they're not far behind in thinking that the manager is everything. United play Everton this Saturday, so that's going to be a test. Everton had a good start. Chelsea will be hoping to get back on the horse again when they play Southampton. For those who follow Leeds, you play Watford. Arsenal, 3 wins on the trot, play Brighton, and of course Liverpool. They drew with Brentford, wasn't it, last week, 3-0. Then the big win during the week, and they play Man City. And of course the 2 Cork teams in the League of Ireland, Cork City, is their chance gone after their draw, with Treaty United last week? In the last 5 games, they've drawn 2, won 2, and lost 1. They play Bray, who are kind of a mid-table side, 5th. So definitely they have to win really if they want to harbour any hopes of getting involved in that promotion relegation that might take them up into the Premier League. I don't know what's going to happen with Cove Ramblers. Lost the last 5 games, and they play Galway United, who are 2nd in the table. As I said, those 2 games go on Friday night. And finally, in rugby, I know some of you are keen students of it, but this whole, like in Europe now, there's this, okay, the 2 professional bodies that were there before. England, you have the Premiership, they operate their own system like they always do. The French, you have the top 14th is called. Then the other, I was going to say countries like Scotland, Wales and Ireland, they started off with this Celtic League, Magners League, Pro 12, it was Pro 14 Rainbow Cup. Well, now we have a new one, it's called the United Rugby Championship, and it's made up of 4 teams, the 4 provinces of Ireland, 4 teams from Scotland, 4 teams from Wales, 4 teams from South Africa. And I know you'll ask, how does this work? And then you have a group made up of the 2 Scottish teams and the 2 Italian teams. Anyway, this will be making itself clear as the year goes on. There's a huge amount of matches on it, and Munster had a winning start last week when they took on I think they called them the Chelsea Sharks. They're one of the South African consortiums, and it was a good result for Munster. And obviously there was crowds back at Thomond Park, and also the very fact that you had Simon Zebo returning from Racing, where he spent 3 seasons, and he got 2 tries as well. And of course Gavin Coombs, who had a phenomenal season last season. He was player of the year for Munster. He scored 15 tries, and he gets a try for Ireland. Well, he got a try last week as well. and they're back in action against the Stormers. They must be another one of these South African teams. I haven't heard of them before, and that game goes on at 25 to 8 on Saturday. So until we meet again, and next week there's going to be a big discussion about all the round 3 hurling games. And would you believe it, in the 30 matches that will be played next weekend, every single team has something to play for. So that's going to be really interesting. But until the next time, take care.